Mr. Damien, AtHope. Hello, everyone. I appreciate you coming, and I want to say that I thank you for being a good audience ahead of time, hoping that you will also feel the generosity of communication between intellectuals. And you also will understand the passion is a good thing, and I respect that. And I respect you to utilize passion with an ethical heart. And thus, you should try to, if you feel the need at any time when there's a chance for you to question, to just remember that. And I will try to do the same in how I interact with you. I believe that we all should be in the search for truth. And this is actually something that is really deep to my heart. I really want to know as many true things as possible. And I am also the kind of thinker that as soon as I am presented with enough evidence to warrant a re-evaluation of a previous belief, I will do so. If I am given enough warrant to even bring more inquiry, to where maybe I can actually reposition my belief, I will do so. And I believe that this is actually an accuracy issue of a person with character. And that is a person that I want to be. I want to be a person of character, and I am a person trying to live a value-driven life. So I will tell you, my name is Damien AtHope, and I am an axiological atheist, which can be understood as a value science atheist, or it can be understood as a value theory atheist. For some who may not understand that, it is basically ethically reasoned and moral argument-driven atheism. This is a very strong form of atheism that basically says that the idea of God is actually harmful because it positions itself as a juxtaposition to humanity. And thus it is immediately anti-theist. And for those who don't know, that means it is anti the concept of God as a harmful thing. And if there is a real being that is God that I could be shown, the only thing that would happen is that I would then be an opposition to a real being that is already in opposition to a true, loving, caring, full humanity. I am also an anti-religionist, and I do not have any difference in how I see religions. I see religions as a product of dogmatic propaganda. To me, it is a container with a label on it. And the stuff inside changes throughout time, place, including it changes within any and all given religions. There is not one religion today that is not a product of change, a product of evolution, including whatever faith you feel you have now is not the faith you probably had 10 years ago. This is a very interesting and epistemic question that we must actually ponder deeply. If we are seekers of truth, if an idea, if a faith, if a belief can actually move, change, grow, is it really fixed? And if the idea is not fixed, then we should investigate if it needs to grow more and evaluate that with a value stance. In other words, we need to understand, is this good, worth? Does it have enough credibility? Does it have enough support? Any idea that we cannot support, we should reevaluate for relinquishment. Does not mean that the idea is wrong. It just means that we need to be intellectually honest enough to say that something is not worthy. This is what actually brought me to atheism. I actually was very honest, and I was a Christian for 36 years. I never once in my entire life to that point ever doubted there was a thing called God, and that was a real being that lived somewhere or existed somewhere or had some power somewhere and could actually interact directly with this world. But this was a belief that I started to realize as I went to college was actually not supported enough for me to hold it as a true value, as a true belief. And I started to realize, what do I really have the right or the duty to believe? Upon such an inquiry stance and a total honesty, in fact, to the point that no belief that wasn't found worthy or honest had the right to be kept, I actually was willing to simply look at the facts. To me, some people try to say that atheists hate God. I hated absolutely nothing when I started to search. And in fact, it was actually a love for the truth. It was a relationship that I started to build with the world around me, the facts and how they supported the truth that I wanted to hold. I started to realize that words only are given meaning when they are coherent to the ideas they're expressed. That an idea must have a correspondence to actual facts, or else the idea is empty. Does it mean, like if I said that the Jolly Green Giant wrote a book, your first question should be, what is a Jolly Green Giant? Is there such a thing? Does it have the ability to write a book? Even if it wrote a book, why should I even care? This is actually, for me as an axiological atheist, is a very strong thing. Why should I even care about this idea called God when I see real people with real needs in the world? And these are things that I felt as a caring and loving person needed direct action. So actually, as an atheist, and not as a theist, because as a theist, I had this, or as a Christian actually, to be accurate, as a Christian, I had this belief that God was going to come and save us. As a Christian, I believed that I could pray and people not connected me and not being benefited by me would be benefited. But as an atheist and a humanist, this completely changes. Because I started to realize if I don't do something, something does not get done. The curious fact is, this doesn't change if you have a belief in theism. Having a belief in a God does not change the fact of the reality. It takes real people in the world to do real things. And so as an atheist, I've actually, when I was living in California, went down to an orphanage and helped the children down there. I have helped homeless. I have a very compassionate heart, and I realize that we need to do things in this world for people. The reason why goes back to my value theory stance, that there is actual quality and value to human life. And upon this, though, I feel a direct responsibility to challenge all and any ideas that remove human value. Ideas that actually become to where the person is believing they're doing something good and are actually doing nothing of the sort. This is very important for me personally, and that is why I go out to colleges and I talk to people. Although I do believe everyone owns themselves, but this comes from a place of value. I value you enough to know that you have rights, and I am not the one who's in control of you. But because I understand this, the idea of a God that tells me I do not have rights, and I actually have to give in to someone else's choice over my rights, I find to be a very vile and degrading to the humanity that I have and the humanity I see in others. I wish the world to understand value and understand worth. Upon such things, can we give qualities to the word good? Because good is not an idea, It is accumulation of things that equal something. It is accumulation of behaviors that produce a worthy outcome. This is very important for me, and that is why people always say, why do I try so hard? It is not out of hate, but it is out of care. It is truly because I see the worth that I feel absolutely compelled. I try to actually also be open to be challenged because I only want the truth. So I also try to be as much as I can. I'm not a humble person. I tend to be on the brazen side of arrogance, but it's really not out of some love to be of my ego. It's actually a character flaw I'm still working on. But I never claimed perfection. Instead, I realize that this is a journey I'm on to becoming a person who is worthy of value. And I realize that something to say is worthy of value, it has to have qualities that can support the justification of such an idea. So when I say that I do not believe in a God, it is actually saying there is no quality given to me to support a justification of such belief. And as I already said, I see God and the concept or a real person, no matter the religion, as a thing that is actually arbitrary and against humanity. And I was asked before many times in my life, how can an atheist be moral? And I try to think of it this way. How could someone who understands that the only thing we have is us not feel compelled to help others around them? It is not a hard thing. It is human compassion. This is actually not even limited to humans. We see it in animals. I love my cat loves me back. It's a reciprocal relationship. And a relationship, I hear people say God loves. But love is a connected relationship that has to be justified. In other words, if I were to hit my wife every time I came home, if I were to threaten her if she's not home and food's not ready, that I'm going to be some sort of an outcome that is negative, that is not worthy of the label of love because it has not fulfilled the correct status for such a justification. It's very important to me to understand that things cannot just be stated, they have to be supported, they have to be justified, they have to follow the rationale that are being offered. And I find that statements in all religions are offered as fact, regardless of information, with almost no support, with very flimsy to no justification in the real world. If I said, well, the Quran is correct because the Quran was written by God, that's not a justification. That is simply a bunch of words put together without a justification. I can say, well, I have a wife. My wife lives at home. I come home. She makes me food, thus we have love. That doesn't equal love. That is simply stating the qualities of fact. That is not proving the support of a justification worthy of the love. Love is an action and an idea. And it is a mental thing, an emotional response that we feel for others. And that, to me, is something that we need to understand. We cannot, should not, and any ethical person should not want to believe things that are not supported. I'm done.